IPMNation.com.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Good afternoon and welcome to hour 4 of our 24-hour marathon here at All Natural Being, our ramp up to the world record 81 to win later this fall. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. Let me say hello to Jenny. Jenny, hello. And Ted. Ted, nice to see your smile pop up in the feed. Thank you so very much for joining us over the weekend here at All Natural Being. For those of you just catching up, thank you for joining us over on IPM Nation. You know, we're keeping the stream going, so it'll be a full 24-hour stream at IPM Nation, but we're chopping up, if you will, the broadcast on Facebook and YouTube because it's simulcast over there. And then thanks to the crack staff at IPMNation.com, you'll be able to get individual shows of the 300th through the 324th episode. You'll be able to get individual shows at iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast, Burberry. We're in quite a few of them, so you'll be able to get a rebroadcast of the show over in those particular formats. And this afternoon, what do we got? We've got a pretty big hour. I'm so excited to talk to Steve from ProPure USA because I think Gordon had mentioned him earlier. We were talking a little bit about all the different swimmers that are in the water, all the different things that really aren't all that good for you, right? Really aren't all that good for you. And we're finding now that you got to watch what you drink, that one of the most toxic places that you can hang out is the tap in your own home. You think about brushing your teeth in the morning and night. You think about the water. You think about washing your fruits and vegetables, all the rest of this. Well, our water could very well be making us sick. So that's one of the things that we're fired. Let's take a quick call and see where we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to All Natural Being. Who's with us, please?
Steve Steinway, the ProPure guy.
Hey, Steve. I was just bragging about you. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I will tell you, Stephen, that I've known you now about 10 days, let's just say. And you've changed, and I know this is going to sound cliche or it's going to sound trite or whatever, but you really have changed my attitude. And in my world, that means my life. You've changed my attitude about water and about what you get if you go over to your tap and what you expect to get out of your water. You've really caused me to think about it in a totally different way. And let me just say this before I'm going to go ahead and because I want people to be able to see the products that we're talking about up on our site. I gave some to my wife. Give some to my 3 of my children. I give some to my mother-in-law. And Stephen, it was just the look on their face, right? And you must hear this all the time, so it's new to you. So you're going to go, Bry, swing with you on. I get it, right? You're fired up. I understand. But here's the scoop. When they look and go, that water tastes really fresh. It tastes really crisp. There's just something about this water. And there's just a smile on their face when they get a chance to drink it. And I'm beginning to think, Stephen, that people don't know, and that's why I'm looking forward to spending the hour with you. People don't know how just downright crappy water can be coming out of the tap. And could it be, Stephen, that they don't know what real water should taste like?
Well, that is absolutely the case. Look water is one of the pillars of life, okay? But as you just stated, we take for granted, you turn on the faucet, and you think clean, safe drinking water is coming out, okay? But we've been drinking the same water for so long, we don't know the difference between good and bad water, okay? And there are some contaminants, some disinfectants that is put into the water that you can taste, okay? But there could be hundreds that you don't taste, okay? And yet they could be very toxic contaminants. And so it's just part of our mission is educating everyone, because let's face it, water is a global issue. Quality water is a global issue. So it's part of our mission to educate everyone to be aware that your water may not be what you think it is.
Well, Stephen, I have to tell you, it makes me suspect in my mind now what it's like, any of the water coming out of the tap. And you've been very gracious to give me some time to kind of ramp me up to catch me up on exactly what we're talking about. But I was fascinated, and I'll put the logo, but I also want to show people, this is my pitcher. And you're thinking, oh, it's a pitcher. But when you look, and I want to talk about these filters of yours, because I'm reading where it's like over 200 contaminants. This guy knocks all the little bad guys and bad girl swimmers that's in our water. It knocks it out. And here's my pitcher. You should know, Stephen, that since I was introduced to ProPure USA, even in my coffee, even in my H2 to go, right, where I'm filling in so I can get my hydrogenated water, I have not drank water if it didn't come out of the ProPure pitcher. I mean, that's how fired up I am about what you've taught me already. So could you go and tell everyone, right, your local purification plant does a great job, let's say, we don't want to disparage anyone, does a great job, but what your water is then subject to in miles and miles and miles of pipes before it even gets to your tap. And then that's what your kids are bathing in. That's what they're drinking. That's what your fruits and vegetables are washed in. That's what you're brushing your teeth with. Can you catch us up?
Oh, absolutely. So, again, most municipalities issue an annual report on their water quality. And typically, yes, once in a while you may see a little spike in heavy metal or one form of contaminant or another, but generally speaking, the water coming out of your local municipality supplied water is good quality water. But as that water travels through your old infrastructure under your city, through those old pipes that have been subject to water main breaks, okay? And then after that, that's when you get the boil water alert, okay? Why is that? Well, the reason is because bacteria and other contaminants get into your water supply, and so it is so, and then as it travels down through this old infrastructure, okay, and then it finally reaches your faucet, again, coming through your home piping system, which could be old, it builds up contaminants, builds up bacteria, and the thing about it is that the city, when you go through one of these main water line breaks, they infuse the water with a spike of disinfectant of some sort, could be chlorine, could be chloramines. But the thing about it is, if you're down at the end of that pipeline, okay, by the time that water gets to your infrastructure within your own home, okay, it could be well diluted and virtually ineffective. And so it's so important to understand that there's more to it than just the quality of the water that comes out of your local municipality.
And you know what's fascinating to me is you think, okay, great, this is what I thought, then we'll just get bottled water. will just get water in jugs. Can you talk to me a little bit about microplastics and how you think you're safe, you may really not be?
Well, the discussion on bottled water, I mean, we could take up the rest of the hour just on that. There's a concern over, one, the source of the water that's going into the bottled water,
right,
whether in fact it is filtered through some process, or are they just filling the bottles with local tap water? And there's been much written in the news about that. Then the other concern is the plastic itself. We'll talk about microplastics in a minute, but the plastic bottle itself, does it have BPA in the plastic? Will it leach out something into your drinking water? And typically, people say you shouldn't leave a bottled water in direct sunlight. Why? Because the sunlight will heat up the water. If there, in fact, is something in the plastic that could leach out, generally it'll leach out at a higher rate once that sunlight hits that plastic and that plastic begins to warm up. So, you know, bottled water may not be what everybody thinks it is, okay? And so there's a need for a system, a process in your home, whether it's as the water is coming into your house or as the water is coming out of your faucet or coming out of your shower. And so, and now going into the contaminants, I mean, microplastics, along with a whole list of other contaminants, including glyphosate, in lead, in PFOA, in PFOS, and just hundreds of other contaminants. Here, for example, let's talk about, everybody probably knows about Flint, Michigan, and the lead in the water, and how long it's been going on, and what the city and state are doing or not doing. Well, just this week, this past Thursday, City Detroit Public Schools announced 30 out of about 100 schools, water was tested, lead and copper at exceptionally high levels, dangerously high levels. They cut off the drinking fountains, and now they're trucking in, hate to say it, but bottled water because they've got to try to figure out what's going on. They know it's from an aging infrastructure, okay? The water out of the Detroit facility is relatively good quality water, but again, it's going through this old infrastructure. Detroit, along with many other cities, they're old cities, old infrastructure. Again, main water line breaks, contaminants and bacteria gets into the water stream and eventually works its way out to your faucet.
And so in other words, if you want to be proactive, I have to tell you, Stephen, what I thought of when you said that. My mom used to say when I was a little kid, you just took a shower. Why would you put dirty socks back on? And at the time, the logic escaped me. But when you're saying, hey, you just took it, the water leaving the plant could be pretty good, but you're running it through dirty pipes, kind of defeats the purpose of everything that's going into making the water good at the plant. And then the other thing that pops to mind as I hear you say that is, it's whose responsibility? It's our responsibility. You have to be responsible for the quality of water that comes out of your tap or your spigot, your sink or whatever. Because when you think about it, for most of us, very first thing we do in the morning, maybe not the first thing, like one of the top two things, Stephen, is brush our teeth, right? What's one of the last things we do before we go to bed tonight? Brush our teeth. Well, if we're using the tap water, what you're saying is if it's contaminated through a run at all these pipes, it's contaminated by the time it gets to your tap. The very first thing you do is fill your mouth with it. The very last thing you do at the end of the day is fill your mouth with it. And then your children are subject to hundreds, I would imagine, of the potential contaminants in the water. So you really have to draw a line in the sand and decide for yourself, no, I'm not going to continually do this to myself and my friends and my family. I'm going to take a very proactive step, and that's what I love. I'll put it back up on it. In terms of the shower head, the under sink unit, I have one of the big stainless steel ones, the ProPure, the 2-gallon, and I love my pitcher because I defy anyone to drink a glass of water coming out of their tap and to drink one of these glasses of water. You will absolutely be able to tell the difference. It's as cliche as it is, it's day and night difference, the water, when it's gone through a ProPure USA filter.
Look, they're projecting by the year 2020 that the average U.S. pipeline will hit about 45 years or older. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Our corroding pipes are affecting the safety of our drinking water, and it's going to take a major overhaul of our water infrastructure and perhaps a decade to fix, let alone the cost probably in the billions. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We deserve the right to clean and safe drinking water.
Sure.
However, we've got to take control of that in our own hands. And by adding on, whether it's what we call a point of use or a point of entry water filtration system, there's something we can do about it right now. You know, no different than the roads here in Michigan. I mean, they're terrible, especially in the wintertime, but it takes time, okay? And at least on the surface, the trucks can come in, do their thing, repair the roads, restore them back to the way they should be. Everybody's happy. Just think about what would it take to remove the infrastructure, the water infrastructure in any city, okay, with all the homes and buildings and roads on top of it. I don't know that in our lifetime we're going to see something done about that. So again, we have the ability. We need to take control and do what we can to safeguard our water.
I think you raise a very valid point. You know, we can't keep our bridges from falling apart. We can't keep our highways from being ridden with potholes. You know, you talk about infrastructure and what the politicians are going to do to try to attack the infrastructure program. I can't even imagine what it would be like to have to replace, just in the smallest city you can envision, what it would take to replace their water pipes. It just would be a Herculean effort and amount of time. So I think you raise a very valid point. In the interim, we have to be responsible. We have to draw the line in the sand. And I think if I had a wish, it would be that I could conduct a mass taste test of what people think water should taste like, and then what water tastes like when I drink it now out of any of the ProPure USA units. It's hard for me to be speechless, right? That's my gig. But it's absolutely speechless, or it's left me speechless, the difference in taste and the difference that I feel. Again, I've not had a single drop of water that hasn't come from a ProPure pitcher since they arrived.
Well, that's excellent. And again, that's what it should be, okay? And it's a relatively inexpensive investment, okay, to help safeguard our water. And it's not only important to us, but it's also important to our kids, you know. They don't know any different. Maybe we've had an opportunity, when we were growing up, the water could have been different back then, okay? But as the infrastructure is getting older and older, and again, the main water line breaks and more contaminants and more bacteria, we've kind of become used to, in quotes, the taste of the water that comes out of our taps. But, you know, in older homes, you could have faucets with lead in them, okay? As the water flows through the faucet, lead's going to leach out into that water. You may not taste it, or you may be so used to it that you just, again, take it for granted that it is what it is, and it should be good. But, you know, it's all about educating everyone about the importance, about aging infrastructure, and being aware of what could be lingering in your water supply.
You know, it makes me think, Stephen, when you say that, it makes me think of that old line that Scotch is an acquired taste. And I think a lot of people have acquired an understanding of what they think water should taste like. But then you try this, and it's so dramatically different. Talk to me, because I know I read somewhere that it's like 4 to 5 times. You go in the store and you buy a pitcher. Oh, here's a pitcher. It filters water. But your filters are amazing. And then I know some people have said, oh, well, it takes a little bit for the water to get through. I love it. I got to tell you, I fill my pitcher, put it in the refrigerator because I want cool water. I come back and it's ready to go when I'm ready to go. But can you tell us a little bit about the filter at ProPure and what separates it from everybody else on the market?
Sure. So in our water pitcher, as well as in all of our countertop gravity-fed systems, we've developed what we call the Pro 1 G2.0 filter technology. It's a very unique filter, advanced engineering. It's a ceramic outer shell with a proprietary formula of granular media inside that has taken us years to develop, and much different than some of the other water pitcher filters. Yes, the ProPure takes a little bit longer for the water to percolate through the filter element. But the reason being is that when it comes to gravity filter technology, generally speaking, the longer the water touches the filter, the greater the opportunity for the filter to remove or reduce contaminants. And so with other types of water filter pitchers, basically when you pour the water in the upper container, the water within seconds just starts flowing through the filter into the lower container. Well, if you take a look at the list of contaminants that's addressed with that particular brand of water filter pitcher, generally it could be a dozen, 2 dozen, maybe it's even 50 different contaminants. Why? Because the filter is a very basic filter. Most of them utilize what's called carbon technology.
Okay.
Carbon technology is great, but there's more to removing contaminants in drinking water than just utilizing carbon technology. So with the ProPure, the Pro 1 G2.0 filter technology, yes, it does take a little bit longer, but we can remove a far greater amount of contaminants, including fluoride, including lead, including the microplastics, including glyphosate, including PFOA and PFOS, and a whole list of other contaminants. And we have on our website independent certified lab reports that have tested the Pro 1 G2.0 filter to NSF ANSI standards, and there are pages and pages of contaminants that have been tested on the Pro 1 G2.0 filter, and that's what makes it such a great product. And the same technology goes into our gravity systems, and we offer a number of different size gravity systems for whether you're for individual use or if you have a family of 5 or 8 or more. There's a ProPure system for you.
And I will say that when you think about that list of contaminants, I can't imagine just all the time that I've been, and I know I've said to you this, but that your hydration shouldn't hurt you. And all the years that I've been like, oh, I got to drink a gallon of water a day. I got to stay on top of this. I got to stay hydrated. But all the things that you just listed, Steve, I'm busy putting into my system. So I'm kind of like a co-conspirator, right? All the terminology in the news about collusion. I've been in collusion with my tap to put these toxins in my body. And what caused me to really sit up and take notice was I'm putting those same things into the bodies of my kids. Even giving my dog a bowl of water out of the tap. I'm guilty for introducing that, water being acquired taste. This is a memory they're already going to have. So I'm loving the fact that they're now drinking the water out of the ProPure because it will kind of school them as to what it should taste like. And we have, non-BPA bottles that they take their water to school in now. Because, like, if they go to a school, right, I can't even trust that the water coming out of that fountain is all that good for them. So it's been, as I said, it's been a real eye-opener for me talking to you about all the different contaminants that can be in water. And I saw an article the other day that they think that upwards of 80 to 90% of water supplies around the world are now contaminated with these microplastics. That can't be good for you. I don't think the human body was designed to deal with that.
Well, it goes well beyond microplastics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's algae and parasites. There are toxins being dumped into local water supply. There are chemicals being infused into municipal supplied waters. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And there's been a great discussion about fluoride and the need or no need for fluoride, and why are cities putting fluoride into the water, and whether or not it's a government-backed collusion to infuse city water with fluoride. Look, I remember back in the days taking my kids to the dentist, and the dentist saying you need to go buy a brand of mouthwash or toothpaste for the kids that had fluoride because fluoride was good for their teeth. Well, now today they're saying fluoride is linked to a number of health issues, okay, and that we shouldn't be drinking water with fluoride. And so now, there's discussion and concern, and how do we get rid of fluoride in our drinking water? And so, the list of contaminants and with manufacturing still going on here in the U.S., there's concern about some of the toxins that are being dumped into our water supply. And so, again, most don't know about this.
Sure.
We take for granted, but we need to now bring awareness, to everyone. Look, we deserve the right to clean and safe drinking water.
Period.
And so, what can we do?
Sure.
Okay, how can we take control of the water that comes out of our tap and out of our showers?
All right, Stephen, if you would, we're going to run to the bottom of the hour for a quick break. We'll be back. Then we're going to open up the phone lines so that people that want to ask you some questions. And then I'd like to go over, again, some of the list of not only the contaminants, but what do they ultimately do to the human body? Like people go, BPA, it won't kill you. Microplastics, all this, all that. I think, I grew up worrying about Giardia and cryptosporidium in the water, right? But maybe when we come back, could we address not only some of the contaminants, but what doctors now tell us those very contaminants are doing to our body. All right, Steve will be back from ProPure USA, ProPure, ProPur, USA.com. Will be back with us right after this quick word, I guess you could say.
You're listening to the #1 rated.
Or we could do it this way. I hope Wayne's listening. He'll just be laughing.
To the #1 rated all-natural being with Brian Brawdy here on IPMNation.com. It's where your grit gets going.
top of the day from the bottom of the hour. You're listening to the #1 rated all-natural being here on IPMNation.com. Thank you so very much for stopping over and hanging out with us. All right. Welcome back to the fourth hour, 4 hours and 30 minutes in our 24-hour marathon. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're talking to my good friend Stephen from ProPure USA about something it should be near and dear to all of our hearts, and it's the water that we're drinking. It's there could very well be a terrorist in our home, and it's the water that's coming out of our own tap. So, Stephen, we talked before about all the different things all the different contaminants. I think, if I remember correctly, over 200 different contaminants your proprietary filter attacks. It keeps it from the water. And I could hear it in your voice earlier ago. Yeah, we're told sometimes that it takes a little while for the water to get through. Oh, I don't mind the wait. I have to tell you, right? For me, it's you get what you wait for.
Absolutely.
I don't mind it at all.
Well, again, sometimes you just have to wait a little bit longer to get something a little bit more worthwhile.
Sure.
So but the flip side to our gravity technology, I just want to mention we also offer a different type of filter technology for what we call our pressurized product line, which includes a countertop, an undercounter, an inline system, a shower filter, and our new ProPure Home whole house system. So all of those types of systems hook up one way or another to your faucet or to your main water supply line coming into your home, or even the water supply line up underneath your counter. And so it's a little bit different technology than our gravity technology. We call it filtered water on demand. Just by merely turning on your faucet, the water flows right through the filter, and virtually within seconds, filtered water will come out of your tap, will come out of your shower. With the whole house system, yes, every water outlet device will have filtered water. Again, that would include sinks, showers, toilet, any water outlet device. So 2 different types of technologies, very similar contaminant reduction. We tend to see a longer life expectancy with most of our pressurized products. So going back to now the list of contaminants, there's been much written, like we talked in the first half about fluoride. We're hearing the ill effects of lead. Yes, ingesting microplastics and glyphosate. I mean, all these contaminants have certain effects on our body. There are many articles, simple to Google, whatever contaminant that's a concern, and find just an enormous amount of information written about the effects of many, many different contaminants. And so our approach to water filtration is trying to develop technology that provides the broadest spectrum of contaminant reduction or removal, whether it's our gravity-fed system or with our pressurized systems.
So then when it comes, so let me ask you this, because someone said to me the other day, well, why wouldn't you just do a whole house setup? Why wouldn't you have it set that way? And then I thought, well, you could very well do that. That's cool. But how about traveling? How many times, Stephen, have you been when you've gone to a hotel and you're like, I don't want to drink that water? Or you go down to the restaurant and they serve you a glass of water and you go, I don't know what this tastes like, but it doesn't taste like water. So for me, I was digging the idea of the pitcher, right? Because I know I can travel with it. I can take it with me. So yes, you can have the shower fixture. You can have the underwater. You can have the whole house, the under cabinet. You can have the whole house. But I also like the portability of the pitcher, because then no matter where I'm going, It's not like when I'm on vacation, I want to start drinking crappy water again. I can't trust the hotel. I can barely trust the hotels to give me a comfortable pillow. Right? I can barely trust the hotels to give me a comforter that isn't made out of paper mache and an air conditioning unit that actually has a graduation of temperatures, not just too hot or too cold. Why would I trust a hotel who's subject to the same water lines everyone else in the city is? Why would I trust them to be giving me great water? That's what I loved about your picture.
Well, we offer a number of small portable products, from our little ProPure Scout, a small countertop gravity-fed system, even the ProPure Traveler. It's a little bit larger, single filter, but it's a great product for traveling. And our water filter bottle, our ProZip Plus, which is a very unique product. It's a filtered water filter bottle, but in addition, it has a water filter straw built into it. So if you don't want to take the bottle, you just want to take the straw. It's easy to remove, and it comes with a little mouth tip, and you just put the straw in your pocket. Very portable and lightweight, easy to travel with. So, in terms of traveling, and look, I travel occasionally myself, and I'm very sensitive to the water, and I can pick up, the disinfectant in the water, and I just, like most, I just don't like to drink it. And so, I'll either take one of our Scouts with me. It's stainless steel, so it's very durable, and you can throw it in the suitcase or throw it in the backpack. But again, it's whether you're at home or whether you're traveling, it's awareness, and it's what can I do to help safeguard the water that I'm drinking, the water that I'm using to brush my teeth, and that's very important to know.
Well, I go back. You shouldn't take a break just because you go on vacation. You shouldn't subject yourself to crappy water. And I said, your hydration plan shouldn't be hurting you. So if I can tell you a little bit of my story. When I got out of my last brain surgery, Stephen, the doctor said to me, the neurosurgeon said to me, look, you have a huge hole that used to be a brain tumor. You now have a huge hole in the back of your head. And I've gone back for subsequent surgeries because they can't stop the spinal fluid leak. So I had one surgery and then the titanium. I don't know how titanium fails. I thought that's why it's titanium. But apparently the titanium plate failed. So then they said, you're leaking like a sieve. They brought me back in. We put in titanium mesh. That was another fun 21 days in the hospital. The titanium mesh couldn't stop the leak. So then they go, oh, well, you're a great candidate for a shunt. So they bring me back into the hospital and they perform another surgery, right? So now I have a brain shunt to help move spinal fluid away from the center of my brain. And why I'm kind of belaboring the point here is my neurosurgeon after the third surgery said, look, we think your immune system can rise to the challenge and we think your immune system will be able to heal this eventually. It's going to take a while. It's not been 2 years yet, but we think your immune system will rise to the occasion. If you identify any other like little spot fires, any other occurrences where your immune system is being distracted and working in other parts of your body. He says, if you can address those things where your immune system is preoccupied, where it's distracted, if you can address those, we think your immune system will be enough to heal, which is now a tennis ball size by the time they're done gouging me out, right? A tennis ball size hole in your head. We think your immune system will rise to the challenge. So the reason that I mention that to you is that what must it be like for an immune system to have to battle some 200 foreign contaminants that I'm assuming were never really all that great for the all-natural human body? What must my immune system be up against if it's battling half of the contaminants, Stephen, that your filters remove? Just a quarter, right? Let's say it's only battling 50 of the contaminants that your filters removed. That doesn't sound like I'm doing a good job of keeping my immune system from being distracted. Doesn't sound like I'm doing a great job of all hands on deck to heal what's going on with me. What are these contaminants doing to distract our immune system? And is it any wonder so many of us are suffering from questionable health because we're drinking crappy water?
Well, look at, going back years and years and years, I think a lot of the medical issues that we're having to deal with today weren't quite so prevalent back then. And so why was it? Was there something different in the air? Was there something different in the foods? Was there something different in the water? Okay? And why today do we find ourselves, our bodies, battling more and more from, resistance to antibiotics to whatever else it may be? And so, as you know, Brian, there's lots of things that, when it comes right down to it, are pretty easy changes in our lifestyle, easy to implement, whether it's the food we eat or the quality of our water. And, we're talking about, two very important pillars of life here. So to have something that is relatively inexpensive, that's easy to implement, could make a huge change to our body.
And this is the second time you've used the term relatively inexpensive. And I have to say that if you do the math and you break it down over the life of a filter, it's truly inexpensive. And then if you add into that, what's the cost of all the different ailments that you could be subject to with your body trying to deal with these extra contaminants? What's the cost of dealing with all those symptoms? To me, it just seems like it's an absolute must in terms of an investment. And we're not talking an arm and a leg, I don't think, especially when you break it down.
Well, look at, you have a medical condition. You've gone to your doctor, and, I highly recommend one consult their healthcare professional about the importance of drinking filtered water. Okay? And, you've done it. You've made some lifestyle changes, and they could be very important. And the cost, when you take a look at the cost of a ProPure system over, many years of life, it really works out not to be that expensive at all.
Well, and the downside is, what are you going to be paying your doctor a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And if you're a parent and you're responsible, right? If you're a parent and you're responsible for what your kids ingest, then you've got to be looking at the water. I can't imagine there's a parent out there going, oh yeah, my kid's 5 years old. We give her tequila, right? My son's at 4 years old. We started him on a steady diet of gin when he was little, right? The authorities would come and drag you out. Of course you would give this to the kids, but how do we know, right? We said, oh, well, but we won't give them a slow gin fizz, but we'll let them drink water that could have over 200 contaminants in it. That doesn't sound real protective. That doesn't sound like we're doing our best in terms of what we subject our children to. At least that's the way I looked at it when I read all the information. And then again, Steve, when I had a chance to just taste your water, it was just taste it. Just taste it. And you'll see, you'll see what your taste buds have been missing is how I explained it to my wife.
Look, not only, you're tasting the difference in your water by using a ProPure filter, but don't forget, there are other contaminants that could exist in one's water that you won't taste, see, or smell. Okay?
Good point.
So again, as I said at the beginning of the hour, our mission is really to make awareness to everyone we can about what could be lingering in your water and the fact that there is something you can do about it. And it's very important. I mean, look at everybody's, we're all living in a much faster-paced lifestyle for most of us today. And so we don't have quite as much time to do some of the things we probably should be doing. Shuttling kids back and forth to school, whatever it is, after-school activities, whatever it is that they need to do. And by the time you get home, feed the kids, homework, the routine. The day is over, and, you just don't have enough time to think about some of these other things.
But, Stephen, I have to tell you, if what you were suggesting was calling an order from a water truck, right? If ProPure USA was a water truck delivery service, then you got to set aside some time Saturday morning to get your tanks filled, right? Well, I could see that. But here, you grab a pitcher, you fill it full of water, you throw it in the fridge, you go out about your day. And then when you get home, you've got what you need. Or one of the gravity-fed countertop units like I use. You fill it full of water, you go about your day. It's not a severe, I haven't found it to be, let me say. It's not a severe drain on my time, especially because in my mind now I'm like, I'm not drinking that water again. I was telling you the truth. I have not had a thing to drink unless it was like my coffee or any of the powders and the different things from Aju that I use. I've not had a thing to drink unless it was a water that came out of the ProPure pitcher. And that's not because, I am a fan of yours, right? I am a fan of your company, but it all comes back to the difference in taste. And I hear you say, yeah, there's going to be some that don't have any smell, don't have any taste. I trust you to cover me from those, right? I'm just talking about the things that did make it taste different. It's made all the difference in the world to me. And can I also make a mention of something? Someone said to me, I've been using this water in terms of washing my face. And they think long-term it's going to help their complexion because their theory was, well, if I'm using this water that's laden with these contaminants and I'm washing my face with it, that can't be terribly good for my skin. So they're all fired up now about using this water to actually rinse their face. And I know you had told me, Stephen, about washing your vegetables, your fruits. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, look at any food that you eat, okay, that either you use to that you put water in to cook with or to rinse off with. I mean, any time water touches something that you might eat, there is a potential risk from whatever contaminants could be lingering in that water. So it's just, it's anything that goes into your body, if you can control it, okay, if you can do something about it, okay, whether it's food or water, it's so important today to do what you can do, and a lot of it are very simple, easy things to do. Look at the ProPure systems are very easy to use, very easy to set up, don't require any electricity, whether it's our gravity to our whole house system, no electricity required. They don't throw off any wastewater like some RO systems do, don't require virtually any maintenance. It should become part of one's lifestyle.
And Steve, why do you think what's the biggest obstacle? Is it out of sight, out of mind, where people just go, it's my tap water, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not like choking me right now in this moment, so it can't be all that toxic. Is it more of an educational thing so that you can start saying to folks, look, you really ought to be paying attention to what comes out of your tap? You think it's more of a learning curve than anything else?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. It's all about education, no question about it. Again, we take for granted. We've been doing this for how many centuries?
Sure.
And we've been taking for granted when you turn on the faucet that the water is safe, clean, and fresh. And as we know today, that's not the case. But again, we're, our lifestyle, everybody's so busy, and we just take for granted. But we need to slow down. We need to take a minute, okay? We need to listen and perhaps do a little research and understand that that's not the case today. That our water, again, even though you turn it on, it smells good, looks good, maybe tastes good, it's probably not, okay? And we're just in such a fast-paced world today. We need to do the best we can to open up one's eyes and ears, okay, about what water is all about, the quality of water, the fact that, again, you get your report from your local municipality, okay, and the report looks perhaps stunning, or maybe it looks great, but we've got to consider where the water flows through, what the water flows through as it comes out our faucet. And then for those that maybe are have either a individual personal well or a community well, you know, if they're in a farming area, they have to be concerned about glyphosate and other herbicides and pesticides that could be penetrating into their water supply table. Okay? And again, some of these toxins you just don't think about, okay? And our goal is, yes, as much as we'd like to sell water filters, it's our mission to bring awareness to everyone about what potentially could be lingering in your water. And there is something you can do about it. You just got to take a minute and take control of your water and get it tested, because the test report that your city provides is going to be much different than the test report of the water that comes out of your tap. Get it tested, see what's inside, and then make an educated decision as to, you know, what your options are.
And take a sense of responsibility. Don't just lay it off on your faucet to think, oh, okay, all I got to do is turn on the faucet and I'll be set. You have to take a personal responsibility, especially if you have a family, especially if you have pets, right? That has to be, your line in the sand, and you go, no, I'm just not going to drink. I'm just not going to drink questionable water anymore. Well, Stephen, I'm most certainly a fan of your mission in terms of educating everyone. And before I let you go, is a thank you. A good friend of mine owns a company called True Fruit. It's real freeze-dried fruits immersed in dark chocolate, which is great for me because people say, oh, why, you like dark chocolate? Well, yeah, the polyphenols and the antioxidants that are in there, and it's gluten-free. So truefruit.com, I want to send you out. So if you'll just let me know, I have raspberry and banana. I had the cherries, but I ate that bag already. But at True Fruit, thank you for hanging out and taking care of me over the last couple of weeks in terms of the education, and then most certainly for spending the hour with us today. I want to go ahead, like I said, you'll see them. Let me know what your favorite flavor is, and then I'll go ahead and bang one out to you so that I can return the favor for your time and your expertise. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Brian, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to spend the hour with you and your listeners today. And my last comment is, please, look into your water.
Sure.
Gather the information. Get it tested. ProPure offers a very inexpensive, basic, we call it the ProPure 10 water test kit. Test your water. See what's in it. It's so important today to take control of your water and then make an educated decision whether or not there's something you need to do.
I think that's a great point. And I also know that the good folks at tryh2.com, there's a link over there, and I think there's a coupon code as well. So there's really no excuse, is all Steve and I are saying, that you may just want to, for your own health, for the health of your family, maybe just even to know, so you can have some peace of mind when you fall asleep, that your tap isn't one of the greatest terrorists in your, I think if you had a bee's nest in the basement, you'd take care of the bee's nest. You don't want yourself stung. Well, you could be getting stung by what's coming out of your tap water. So head on over to tryh2.com. Stephen, thank you so very much. I'll wait for your order as to what your favorite fruit is, and I'll get that to you. But thank you for changing my mind and helping me interrupt the cycle of just assuming that if it comes out of the tap, it's got to be top shelf. So thank you very much for that education as well.
My pleasure, Brian. Thank you, and have a happy and safe Labor Day, everyone.
All right, brother. You too. Farewell now.
Take care.
All right, we're going to go ahead the next hour, probably for me, probably one of the more personal hours in the 24-hour, and you'll see Sherry is going to be here. I don't want to steal her thunder or our thunder, but if you're around and you have some folks that want a behind-the-scenes look is to just some of the things that I've been going through, some of the things that people with hydrocephalus go through, some of the things that people with brain shunts go through. This would be the hour to want to hit. All right, we're going to go ahead. As you know, I'm going to try to figure out the internet signal one more time, and but we will be back here in about 3 minutes, top of the hour. All right, we will be right back. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being.
Hey there, this is Lee Rowley from Sales Copy Academy, and you're listening to the live 24-hour All Natural Being Marathon with my good friend, Brian Brawdy. Keep your mitts off that browser tab because Brian will be right back after this short break with another solid hour of all natural shenanigans on All Natural Being. Stay tuned.
IPMNation.com.